a big story. I guess it's a big story. To me, it's whatever. And I'll ask you this. When a player unfollows a team, what does it mean to you? How do you take it? Do you get all outraged because Klay Thompson, the Twitter detectives and the IG detectives, they figured out that Klay Thompson unfollowed the Golden State Warriors and he scrubbed most of his Warriors content off of his page. Now, he's been posting, and he posted something 2 hours ago where he's on his bike, he's playing golf at night, and he's got a glow-in-the-dark ball that he's hitting with. That looks pretty cool. You see that before?
No.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen the glow-in-the-dark ball. I didn't see this.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, then he's got a glow-in-the-dark ball that he's hitting up there on the green. And then somebody on that same thread commented, you already knew people was going to talk about your 0 for 10 game before posting this. So somebody just wanted some attention, right? Like, they were like, oh, great, awesome. And then Klay Thompson just replied to the guy, hey, young fella, I'm rooting for you. Each agreed to get proper sleep nightly, and you will make the NBA one day through hard work and perseverance. So I think the response is great. The guy's a young basketball player who commented and tried to clap on Klay Thompson, and he replied by saying, hey, young fella, I'm rooting for you. Each agreeing to get proper sleep nightly, and you will make the NBA one day through hard work and perseverance. Now, Sam Lubman was in the room when I read that during the break, and Love was like, why do you have to reply? Do you really have to reply? I'm saying, why can't he reply? Like, why are we not allowed to even, we've had talks with the boss man. Boss man tells me, no, Bonte, why do you reply to these fans on Twitter? You're up here, they're down here. I was like, no. You want to come on my timeline and you want to clap, why can't I clap back? I'm a human just like you guys. Just because I work in a certain area or I work in Sports Talk Radio, that doesn't make me better than anybody. So why can't I reply? So I told Lubman that. I was like, why can't Klay Thompson reply? God wants to clap on his page. Klay didn't even clap back. He just, hey, young fella, I'm rooting for you.
I mean, this goes to a bigger conversation. So you want to start with the replies or you want to start with the unfollowing on social media?
Let me ask you, how did you feel when you heard the news that he unfollowed the Golden State Warriors? What did Joe Shasky, the butcher, think?
Well, there's two parts. There's the first part is like I acknowledge that this is what young people do. And I'm not going to understand, even though I'm closer in age to Klay than maybe like Debo when Debo did it. Whether it's a tactic for negotiation or whether it's frustration and you're expressing it or whether it's just, coincidental. I find it interesting because it's on some level, it's probably unnecessary because I don't think it's swaying negotiations one way or the other. That's personal. I don't believe it does. I don't think that whoever's handling the contracts, whether it's a team out there like Orlando or pick Team X, right, or whether it's the Warriors, I don't think they all of a sudden go, we have to add another $5 million to our offer. Like, I don't think that has any value. I think it's unnecessary because what you're doing is you're alienating whatever, fan base that is out there of that team or of yours. And it's probably just stirring the pot. And some people like to stir the pot, and that's their prerogative. I would just have left it alone. But I'm not him. So, and I also don't know what's going on right now. And I don't know what the negotiations are. And if he legitimately has hurt feelings, I can understand. Like when two people break up, right? Do you keep that individual on your Instagram page? No, most people scrub it, right? Like I had Instagram when I was already married, right? So let's say I had a prior girlfriend to meeting my wife or whatever. Like I'm sure I would have scrubbed certain things, right? Like I understand that. In terms of a business tactic, I don't think it's changing the amount of money or the years that he's guaranteed one iota. And I don't think anyone thinks that. I don't think the person doing it does. But I do think that we scrub certain things based on emotion.
Yeah, I don't.
But I think there's a bigger conversation about just society and social media.
Yeah, I mean, society and social media is going to be the end of us. Like we all, what's crazy? I was talking to somebody yesterday about access, right? There was Big Dog City and Philly and Saturday night. We're talking about, before social media, you couldn't get much access to these athletes, right? Now I believe we have too much access to these athletes.
I would agree.
There's no middle ground. No middle ground whatsoever. But I would love to be a fly on the wall when the ownership group is sitting there and somebody texts Kirk Lacob, hey, do you know that Klay Thompson will follow the Warriors? Like, what's Kirk thinking? What's Joe thinking? What's Mike Dunleavy
Well, it's
Jr.
a no-win situation, though, too, isn't it? Like if you do that, right? Let's say Bonte Hill unfollows 95-7 the game.
I should do that right now. What would people say?
But it's a no-win situation for you because people are like, what's he thinking? Oh my God, he doesn't like it. And they just start jumping to conclusions.
That's what we do. We do that all the time.
You might have accidentally hit it. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe Klay accidentally hit it, right? Maybe he accidentally followed the Warriors.
And did you accidentally, hit the confirmation too after that?
Maybe.
Are you sure you want to unfollow? Oops, I accidentally hit that too. Yeah, it happens. Slippery fingers,
But listen, we've touched on this all season. We've known this. We're going to get to this point with Klay Thompson. And quite frankly, I'm eager to hear from Warrior fans about this situation because we are getting closer to free agency, and there's a reality that he may be gone, and he may be wearing a different uniform next season, which hopefully, we tried to prep you guys for, like, hey, there's a possibility when a lot of people say, oh, Klay's not going anywhere, Corey's not going anywhere. Now it's starting to hit people like, oh, snap, Klay could go somewhere. But for some people, I remember the guy I was going to play with go to Vegas for the Super Bowl, and he turned around and said, Bonte, Klay's got to go. They just beat the Phoenix Suns. Klay's got to go. He got to get the hell out of here, blah, 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 blah. Some people like that may be happy that he's gone. Who knows? Who knows? That's why I felt like this strongly for the last 3 months that it may be best for both parties to move forward without each other. But here's Draymond Green's reaction to Klay Thompson unfollowing the Golden State Warriors.
I know all of you were probably looking forward to me talking about Klay unfollowing the Warriors and deleting some IG posts or something. I had no idea that happened. I think it's hilarious. Just so y'all know, I laughed when I logged on here and Jackson's like, yo, so what about Klay? I'm like, what? Like, what happened? It's like, oh, he unfollowed the Warriors. I think that's comical. I know you all be wanting like somebody's feelings to be hurt or something. It ain't that. Ain't never going to be that. That's hilarious.
Another time I just shake my head and I go, Draymond, sometimes you don't have to comment on everything. Like it's
hold on. I fairness to Draymond.
Because it's going to be interpreted one way or the other. You leave it because he didn't. He just said it's hilarious. I find it comical. People are going to interpret that a certain way. I thought I thought that the whole thing was you don't talk about other people and how they handle business for the pro athletes.
No doubt. But he is doing a podcast, which you can argue. And
so
say
now the door is open for comment.
No. Well, he's got a producer, right? Just like we have a producer, and Colin Cowherd runs that whole damn site. And Draymond Green is a teammate of Klay Thompson. You don't think Colin Cowherd and the producer talks like, hey, Klay Thompson don't follow the Warriors. Like, got to just touch on it for 30 seconds. If he did a podcast and released it the day after Klay Thompson don't follow the Warriors, then people would be like, well, what was Draymond's opinion? Because some people do want his opinion about this stuff. And I don't think he said anything egregious. Just say, I find it hilarious. And maybe he finds the whole thing maybe he finds the reaction to Klay Thompson of following the Warriors hilarious.
Okay.
Because that's what I do. I was listening to Willard a little bit on Friday, and they were going in. I was like, this tells me that he's gone, and yada, yada, yada. I was cackling. I was cackling because we see athletes do this all the time. And whether or not, maybe he is following the Warriors because it's done. And maybe he's tired of seeing all the Warriors content flood his timeline. He's like, yeah, it's about time I go. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really care about it. But I get why it could be a big deal to certain fans. Like when Debo followed the 49ers and he scrubbed his account. I didn't care so much about that. My care was, damn, you really want to go play for the New York Jets? You want to get traded? That's what I was like, all right, Debo, but the following the Niners and doing all that stuff. Like Moses Moody, right? They cracked the code. And I was watching Moses Moody on ABC 7 Friday night. Did a great job with Larry Beal after the finals. And Moses was like, I didn't even follow the Warriors for so long and people were coming at me. Oh, 707, Xfinity mobile text line. Klay Thompson followed Austin Reeves on Twitter. Klay to the Lakers confirmed. I'm not outraged whatsoever.
I will say this though, like, and again, that this sounds good in theory. I don't know how realistic this is, but when you've reached the level of some of these athletes, like Kevin Durant, I clearly feel like Kevin Durant is controlling all of his social media.
No doubt.
He doesn't have a handler. I do believe social media 9 times out of 10 does more harm than good. there is a good, like, I've got to connect with people on there that I would have never. I don't know if I'd be in media currently if it wasn't for social media. And we can have a whole different conversation about that moving forward. My cousin, his son is a junior in high school, going to be a senior. He had Tommy John surgery and was out for like 2 years. So he wasn't on this whole recruiting radar. All right. And he had a great year this year. He's throwing 92 miles per hour. He's up in Rockland and he's an absolute stud. And my cousin controls his son's social media because he's afraid that he's going to do something that's going to like look bad on him. And like, honestly, it's a great move by my cousin to kind of control social media. Now, there are certain things that he posts about him playing ball or whatever. And if you look at his profile, it's curated to look a certain way. And I think that, again, in theory, it makes a lot of sense. Once the kid gets control of it and he gets a certain status, like there's a whole nother conversation. But his thought process is like, I don't want him posting something that's going to limit his opportunity to maybe go somewhere. Well, and so he had this big showcase over the weekend. Long story short is now he's being recruited by the entire SEC and the Big 12. He's got all these different offers and he's very lucky. And I could just imagine right now, let's say I'm coaching for Georgia and I go, I don't know about this kid. I don't see him on any recruit. Let's click on his social media profile. And if it's a bunch of him doing dumb stuff or him posting, just whatever, things that you might deem questionable or whatever, like you're probably less likely to recruit that individual. But there's many, 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 many levels from I'm a junior in high school looking to get a scholarship to Klay Thompson's status as a all-time, I think he's a top 75 player of all time, 4-time champion who's reaching free agency. So I guess I don't know where Pandora's box opens and closes on these things. And I don't know what I would do if I was them.
Well, if we're going to take the conversation to that point about young kids on social media, I've talked to City College of San Francisco's football team, for a long time. And I told them, I was like, man, if I was you guys, I wouldn't have social media. But I get why you need social media because that's how a lot of recruiting gets done is through social media.
Exactly.
So my nephew plays at De La Salle, Jaden Jefferson. He's getting offers all over the place as well, and he's doing very well for himself. I've never talked to him about the social media stuff, but he goes to De La Salle, and I'm sure they have a very good infrastructure on how to deal with social media. I trust that school, and I trust that program to really tutor. So my nephew, all he does is tweet offers, highlights. He ran track, got the best 100-meter yard dash time at De La Salle in their school history. Post that. Social media in terms of football. He doesn't post anything else except for highlights and tracks. His highlights and whatever he's going to a 7-on-7 camp or whatnot. So a lot of kids are becoming very aware of how social media can become toxic and do more harm than good if you're using that tool. The same could be applied to us. Oh, we can't be out there tweeting F-bombs left and right or this or that and clapping at, I clap at people sometimes. I try to keep it very professional the way I do reply to people, but it can be dangerous, man. Like the bosses told me, man, you don't have to do that, man. You're bigger than that. You're bigger than that. I'm just like, man, sometimes I just want to talk to fans. I want to show fans that I am human and try to have a conversation with them. Now, I can't help if they become disrespectful. That's when I start to use the block button. That's when I start to use the mute button. So I think kids like that, Klay Thompson, look, he replied to a guy on Twitter, nothing agreed. To say, young fella, I'm rooting for you. Eat your greens and get proper sleep. You'll make the NBA one day through hard work and perseverance. You want to post about my 0 for 10 game like that's the only game that I've ever had in my career? That's going to define me? No, Game 6 Klay is going to define him. 4 championships is going to define him. All NBA teams is going to define him. Making the All-Star game is going to define him. So, look, somebody on the text line right now, Bonte, you're capping right now. You're big capping because you're stirring the pot. I don't really care to Klay Unfollowed. Then why are you talking about it so damn much? Because guess what? Everybody here is talking about it. It's kind of a topic that sports radio thrives on. Yeah. So I wouldn't be doing my job if we didn't talk about it. I'm just telling you my reaction. When he unfollowed it, I just started laughing. Because one thought process I had, I'll say this right now.
What's that?
Is I thought all the calls we've taken over the last 3 years, what percentage would you say have been negative towards Klay Thompson?
I don't know. What do you think? 75%?
Yeah, at least, right? Yeah. At least, right? So part of me thought...
Am I wrong or am I too low?
No, I may have said 80%.
Okay.
But part of me, and what I thought was when he unfollowed him, I said, well, most of y'all are getting what you want, right? You want Klay gone. He unfollowed the Warriors. Shouldn't you be happy about it? Instead, I saw the reaction saying, oh my God, I can't believe Klay went unfollow the Warriors. Wait a minute. You wanted him gone For what the people I've talked to.
I don't know about gone. Gone might be strong. I don't think 75% of the callers wanted him, quote unquote, gone. I think people wanted him to play better, or maybe in a different type of a role, or whatever. There was a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I do believe that, like, this is just another, step of, it's been very difficult for him the last couple of years. And the response that he had is, to me, it's a nothing burger. The reply that you're referencing about him replying. But I do think that when I see someone's profile that I don't know that person, I will look at their replies, and I feel like I get a gauge of who they are if they're willing to tweet certain or post certain things out there. Because what else am I? I'm going off of what you're putting out there, right? And I'm interpreting it a certain way. So I am now more cognizant than I've ever been of. And I'm not perfect, but like every reply is basically on your quote unquote resume of the profile, and anyone can consume it, and they're going to interpret it any way they want. So I try to be as methodical as I can so that it can't be interpreted as Joe's a jerk. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's what that Klay is, but I do believe when you unfollow everything, you do it for a reason. Yeah. And whatever his reasons are, I don't know if it has the impact that we think it does. Like, I don't think that, like, Dunleavy and Lakeup, it's your point, or like sitting there like, he unfollowed them.
Steph Curry.
It just feels like standard operating procedure now in the modern era.
Moving on, right? Yeah. Do you right now at this moment feel like Klay's going to be a Warrior next season?
No, but it's been trending that direction for a while.
Exactly. You're listening to 95.